Okay, I'm giving tests back today. I am going to go over the test. We are not going to talk in the back of the room. Thank you. And the people that are at home, you should get yours back today. Can't promise though. I'm going to make sure I get it to everybody in school first, maybe after school. I'll get a chance to get yours done. It could happen during the day though. Let's see how much time I can free up. All right, let's go over some things first. Now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, please make note of this. I'm telling you the kinds of things that you really need to know in the future. To be an educated person, you need to write reasonably. If you just ignore capital letters and it comes time to do a college essay, you can cross that college off, okay? If you write the name of their college in lowercase letters, because I just do lowercase letters, that's not going to be a good thing for you. There is a way to write English. I'm trying to help you along with that, not just with the history. So please pay attention. This is really important. To be an educated person, one must use language properly. Now, let's see here. I got a few things to mention. Let's get this straight. This seems to be very confusing for some, and some of you got this thing nailed. Okay. South, south, and north, north. If you're talking about a direction, they went south, they headed west, they moved east. That's all lowercase. That's no place specific. But if you say they went to the west, well, that's a place. If they went to the south, if north or northerners or southerners did something, those would be capitalized because those are particular peoples or particular places. Those are proper nouns. All right, let's see what else we got here. Sentence fragments. We're getting huge and hot with sentence fragments. If you see this, that means what you wrote is not a complete English sentence. That's really important. If you start off with because and just keep going, the question is not part of your answer. You may be thinking, here's the question because, but that doesn't make it part of your answer. So you need to make a complete and good sentence there. Capital letters we just talked about. Land, power, and religion all begin lowercase. They are not proper nouns. They don't need to be capitalized. Sorry, somewhere along the way I lost my reading glasses. Okay, really? Again, I had someone staple in the upper right-hand corner. If you staple the upper left-hand corner and the upper right-hand corner, it's kind of hard to read the paper. All right, what else have I got here? Okay, I think we did this one time first semester, but it is critically important. When you're answering a question, like on the handy dandy guide, and you start off with, I think, nobody cares. Remember mom and dad told you you're the most special human being that ever touched the face of the earth? It's not true, okay? Now, maybe you have that potential and good luck being that, but for the time being, you're 12 years old. You don't have a doctorate. You don't have millions of years of expertise. What you have is a 12-year-old opinion. So if you say, I think, people reading it go, yeah, I don't. And then your argument is completely defeated. Just cross out the word I think. If you're making an argument, you say, I think broccoli is the best vegetable ever. I don't. You just defeated your argument. If you say broccoli is the best vegetable ever and then give 3 reasons, now I have to address your argument, not just say it's an opinion. Okay, what else have we got here? Oh yeah. If you just ignore inventing paragraphs, but then draw the little arrows like I do, that doesn't make them indented. That just means you didn't do it and then you drew arrows. So don't do that. Remember to indent. Put a heading to one side or the other. Some of you guys are making like the biggest heading in the world right in the top in the middle of the page. If there's a place for name over here, put the date and the subject next to it. Otherwise, you said the upper left-hand corner. I frankly don't care which corner it goes in, but what I want to see in the center of a page on an essay or something is the title, not Bob Smith, Mr. Holman's classes. Don't put in Mr. Holman's classes. Washington and the date. I don't want to see that. That's not something that should draw my attention. I should read it and say, oh, look at this. Yeah, okay. Let's see what else we have here. you confuse sometimes when you use the word they. Sometimes you use it for two things in the same sentence. Abolitionists were hated because they hated slaves. Well, abolitionists didn't hate slaves. Abolitionists liked slaves. They liked human beings. Therefore, they didn't want slavery to exist. So saying abolitionists hated slaves is wrong. Abolitionists hated slavery is right. So make sure you choose the right word there. Okay. Whew. Okay. These words have specific meaning. Now I'm going to tell you right now, if you listen to a radio, a podcast, a television show, they will be misused constantly. However, remember your goal is to be an educated person, to use words correctly, because they do have meaning. If you have these two words, less or amount, those are things that cannot be separated into individual units. Would you like an amount of pudding? Or an amount of money? You don't have monies. You have an amount of money. Now, if I said, how many dollars is that? That would be the number of dollars because you can count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you have fewer carrot sticks, that's one thing. But you have to have less jello because you don't have an amount of, or you don't have a number of jellos. 1 jello, 2 jello, 3 jello. Now you say, what about jello cups? Cups you have numbers of, not jello. Okay. Oh yeah. You guys have worked it out, and I'm sure this has something to do with the way you guys uh, communicate on the. I have no idea what you guys communicate on.
Snapchat.
Snapchat. Okay. This is completely gone. Hey, what about Bob's dog? You just skipped the apostrophe completely.
Yeah.
You need to stop doing that. The apostrophe means ownership. It means possesses. Bob possesses that dog. It belongs to him. If you say Bob's dog, are there lots of Bobs? Okay, still they wouldn't know it. What else have we got here? The question about why abolitionists were hated in the North. It's because there would be competition with immigrants for jobs. You need to answer as specifically as you can. You can't just say there would be fewer jobs. There wouldn't be fewer jobs. There'd be the same number of jobs. If a lot of people moved up north, there might even be more jobs. But the really low paying ones, the ones that don't require language skills and such, the ones that the immigrants might have had, there'd be competition for those jobs. That's not the same thing as saying there would be fewer jobs. Oh yeah, please read directions. Some of you lost half the point because the instructions clearly said write the letter, not the date. But some of you said, no, I'm going to go ahead and write the date. So that was a 2-point question. You lost 1 point if you wrote the date. Because the directions said write the letter, not the date. Abolitionists did not believe in slavery. No, they might not believe in ghosts or UFOs or the boogeyman, but they believed they understood that slavery existed. It was a real thing. They might not have liked slavery, but what was the definition for abolitionists? They worked against slavery, not just they didn't like it, but they didn't believe it or anything. Okay. You have a bunch of carrots. I mean, the number of carrots dangling together. You have a group of potatoes. You have a group of potatoes. I'll get together talking about potatoes. Or you have a group of potatoes. Well, you have a lot of something. 2 words. A lot. Like a bunch, a group. It's a lot. There used to be a company I was still around, Odd Lot Shoe Store. Extra lots of shoes. What else is there? No, it's not quite the same thing, but you, if It's just two separate words. Let's see here. You guys work on a handy dandy guide. I did grade all of yours in this section, but I haven't graded everybody's yet. You did a pretty good job of thinking it through and explaining yourself. So I was happy with that. Hello. I don't blame you. Yeah. Rita the Riot Act. Yeah. Okay. Emily's being taken away. They said it was a school nurse, but I actually think it's a federal marshal. I don't know if we'll ever see her again. Probably going into witness protection. Okay. Honey, would you pause that? I'm going to hand it on. Okay, we're going to run over some of the answers on the test here. Now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, let's please pay attention, including James. All right, good. We're going to pay attention. Sorry, we're not writing down anymore. We're following along. We're doing the wait part first. And it starts off with the first 7 presidents. The only one that really gave people a lot of trouble in spelling is John Quincy Adams. Quincy is spelled capital U, capital Q, U-I-N-C-Y. There is no E in Quincy. That was a big mistake. People would put C-E-Y. There is no E in Quincy. All right, let's see here. The directions for the second one, matching. Show the letter, not the date. And again, some people lost half points on each one by showing the date, not the letter. You need to be keyed in on direction. And let's see here. The answers were H, G, A, F, C, E, D, B. All right, it says answer in complete sentences. That was enormous. If you just started off with because and then finished up with just a dependent clause, that's not good enough for a full answer. You need to give me a complete thought, and that's kind of the definition of a complete sentence. So what do we have here? An abolitionist is one who worked to end slavery. Not someone who didn't believe in it, not somebody who didn't like it, not somebody who didn't think well about it. No, it's somebody who worked to get rid of it. All right, abolitionists were disliked in the South because the South had a slave economy. They made money. It was all about money down south. That was their way of life. Abolitionists were disliked in the North. We had 2 reasons. The first one was if the slaves had been freed, then they would go up north, many of them, perhaps more than 1 million of them, and compete with immigrants for those low-level jobs. So the immigrants did not like the abolitionists. Also, there were lots of mills up north now, and the mill owners liked the cheap cotton, and cheap cotton came from using slave labor. So they liked the cheap cotton. That was the second reason. Why Frederick Douglass was so important to the abolitionist cause. Yes, sir. So 18. Okay, go ahead, hon. Then you got half of it, because that's 1 out of 2. Okay. Frederick Douglass. Why Frederick Douglass was so important to the abolitionist cause. And I was looking for, I don't know, a couple of these, but most importantly, to say he put a face on slavery. That was the big deal. He was articulate, proving he was a human being, defeating that argument that black people were not human. He told his own story, and he was an escaped slave and a powerful speaker. All those were good things too, but mostly I wanted that face of slavery. All right, who was Samuel Slater? A lot of people dropped the ball on this. That's the first question. Who was Samuel Slater? If you cannot put your finger on a British mill manager, you didn't answer the first half of the question. He was a British mill manager, and what did he bring to the United States? The secret of constructing a power loom. All righty. How is it that Eli Whitney's cotton gin helped to advance slavery? Simply put, it made cotton very profitable again. More slaves, more cotton. Slavery was reborn. What did the Indian Removal Act of 1830 say? All Indians east of the Mississippi River had to move west of the Mississippi River. Now, one thing to be aware of that not many of you, but I'd say, well, there might be 8 or 10 kids in the class altogether out of the whole 7th grade that make this mistake, and that is the name of the river is Mississippi River. River is part of of the title, river is capitalized. Mississippi is capitalized, river is capitalized. Lots of people put Mississippi and then a lowercase r on the river. Okay, what else do we have here? Give an example of religion. There were some good ones. Give an example of power. Got good ones. Give an example of land. All righty. In what way was Andrew Jackson different from the first 6 presidents? And again, I was looking for probably 3 of these. He was an orphan. He was a commoner. He was from Tennessee. He was a self-made man. And he was poor. So just give me a few of those. Interestingly enough, a couple of people turned that around. That all the other people had been poor and orphan, and I was very confused with their confusion. All righty, using the handy-dandy guide for solving economic mysteries and your knowledge of lessons this period, solve the following mystery. Thoroughly explain your answer in proper prose form. Thoroughly explain the answer. That was big here, guys. We will now be studying the time leading up to the Civil War. One of the main reasons for the war was slavery. There were at least 3 ways to eliminate slavery. Number 1, emancipation. That means the freeing of the slaves by their owners. So that was one of their choices. That would have ended slavery. The owners would have just said, "You're free, go away." They chose not to do that. Number 2, emancipation or freeing the slaves by paying compensation from the federal government to the slave owners. The federal government could have just written checks to every slave owner saying, "We're buying your slaves by law, they're free." Done with slavery. They chose not to do that. Fighting a war to eliminate slavery. Why did they choose that? So now you're thinking in the economic fashion, solve the mystery and figure out why the Americans at the time chose the third. I think if you just take a look at the handy-dandy guide, people choose to do things they think are best for them. Well, number 1, the slave owners freeing their slaves. Would that be best for them? Okay, number 2, emancipation or freeing the slaves by paying compensation from the federal government to the slave owners. You could have mentioned something about the people up north. Why should they pay for slaves when they had no benefit from them? They didn't want to do that. People choose to do things for which they are rewarded. So would freeing the slaves reward the slave owners? No. Would paying great big huge taxes in order to pay for the slaves reward the northerners? No. All right. People create rules which affect our choices and how we act. I'm not sure how well that comes in there. People gain when they freely decide to trade with each other. I'm not sure how that comes in there. But what do they do? All right. Read it off, Omar. Yeah. Read your answer. Wait. I'm not hearing you. Big booming voice.
The Americans of the time chose the third option because they did not want option 1 and 2 because those options cost too much and 3 was the easiest to pay for in their mind.
That's exactly right. It was the easiest to pay for in their mind because each side thought this was going to be a short war. Okay, we're going to go for one battle and maybe, we'll lose 20, 30 guys and then boom, we either get rid of slavery or we get to keep our slaves. Now, it ends up that in all likelihood, they used to have a measure of how many people were killed in the Civil War, or died in the Civil War, and it was large. They figured it was somewhere in the neighborhood of maybe 600,000 people. But some historians not too long ago went back and looked at the census from 1870, the next census after the Civil War, and discovered that there were so many people that were gone. Those were the people who probably had since died from their wounds. They weren't counted as killed in the war because the war ended and they were still living. But here it was by the time just a few years had gone by and they passed away really from war wounds. So now the current figure is about a little over 1 million people it's estimated died in the Civil War. Now think about that. We don't want to free our slaves, too expensive. We don't want to pay taxes to buy the slaves and free them, too expensive. So what they end up doing, spending 1 million lives. Okay, but they thought that would be exactly as Omar says, the cheapest course of action. They never expected it to be that big. All right, what else do we got? Let's talk about money.
Money.
All right, cool. First of all, what is money? What's money? What's money, baby?
It's how you buy things and how you own things.
It's how you buy things?
No, it's what you use to buy things.
What you use to buy things, okay?
It is something that is of worth.
Okay. Riley, your money. You have something of worth. You are money. Congratulations. Of course, that's an expression now, right? That girl's money, man. Yep. Okay. All good thoughts, good answers. Let's get a definition. Here it comes. Ready?
Wait. I need to pick out my colors. Oh my god. Have a little nice black pen? Nope. Yeah. Maybe like a dark blue. It's boring. You're boring. I need to find a color. Okay.
Oh, that's important.
Yeah, you have to draw the new
Color
section.
scheme.
I can't find the right color. Okay. I don't know what color I'm gonna do. Oh no. I can't pick out.
Ready?
No, I'm not ready.
Okay, we're
I'm not
gonna
ready.
keep going while you're choosing colors. Anything
Did you write the new section?
generally accepted for products or services. Anything generally accepted. That's accepted. ACCED. Anything generally accepted for goods or services or in payment of debt. Anything generally accepted for goods or services or in payment of debt. Anything generally accepted for goods or services or in payment of debt. Okay, cool. Now let's figure out what the characteristics of money are. All money has some characteristics. Dun, 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 dun. All right. We got our definition down. Ooh, that's money. Some pictures on this.
And Jackie.
That's no good money. Okay, so we're going to start a new country here. And we figure we want something that can't be easily stolen. So let's make our money those 20-ton statues from Easter Island. Does that sound like a reasonable thing?
Yeah.
No, not really. It's kind of useless as money. The first characteristic of money is it must be portable. Let's carry it around. Let's be able to move it. How is most money moved today?
In my pocket. A wallet.
Good.
Online.
Electronically. You know, most money is not cash. It's not the stuff you have in your wallet. Most money is nothing but a figure in a ledger. It's a number on a computer screen somewhere. Well, think about it. If Tabby comes in and she's going to make a deposit of $100 into her savings account. So she goes to the bank, she gives them a $100 bill. Do they go back with that $100 bill and put it in a special drawer marked Tandy in the back of the safe? No, they put it in the drawer. And they mark that she has $100 in her savings account. Now it's down in a ledger. It's written on a computer. And the next person who comes in is James. And James says, yeah, I'm writing a check there. I need $100 cash. So they take that same $100 out and give it to him, take his check. They say, whoop, you have $100 left in your savings account. But he's walking away with the cash. Her cash is nothing but a number. That's what most money is, just numbers on a ledger. Okay, so it's got to be portable. We know that about money. Okay, so you figure we're going to make some bucks here. We're going to make some money. So what the heck? You run down to Miss Parker's art room. You say, yeah, we're going to design some dollars. And you are so motivated by Shrek. You say, let's make some Shrek dollars. So you draw your best picture of Shrek. You can see clearly I'm a beautiful artist. You draw your picture of Shrek, and you can put the sun in there because it's going to be a bright day in your new country. And then you write down 10 right there. Those are 10 Shrek bucks. And then you run over to Walgreens over at Ruby Isle and you say, yeah, I want to buy some candy bars and some soda. And there you go. You got change for 10 Shreks? What's the clerk going to say?
No, I'm not signing it.
I'm gonna call the police.
We're not taking this. So the next thing about money is it must be generally accepted. It has to be generally accepted. And there's almost no money that is accepted everywhere. There was a little dip in the United States currency a few years back, and it lost its value rather sharply. And over at one of the world's great tourist attractions, the Taj Mahal, they would take all kinds of money from all over the world, and for just a few days there, they said, we won't take American dollars. We won't accept them because they're devaluing right now, so we don't want that. So it has to be generally accepted. Incidentally, when you guys, I hope we get to do BAME next year. I'm not sure we're going to do it this year. We're meeting about that in just about a week, see if there's anything we can do. But pesos are the currency of our little mini economy, the BAME, that's the Workforce Academy mini economy. And they're real money. They are real money. They are generally accepted, right? Anywhere along Brookfield Academy. Heck, you can get high schoolers and lower schoolers to do stuff for you for pesos. And what was the first characteristic? They're portable. Are pesos portable? Yeah, they're a little poker chip. Okay, what else do we got here? Oh. My wife went shopping yesterday. Let's see here. Oh.
Oh, it's a bear.
It is an I love you bear.
Aww.
It is Haribo Sour Streamer Zine. Kids and grown-ups. Oh, I'm not going to give these to anybody. I have 3 more classes. Kids and grown-ups love it so. Maybe kids, probably not grown-ups.
That looks kind of gross.
Okay, what else do we got
Yeah,
here?
gross.
Ooh, we have
Yummy.
Lifebuoy hand wash.
Yummy. I'll take it.
Okay, what else do we got here?
I can't.
Oh, the party hand sparkler.
Yes.
I want it. I'll probably burn my hand off, but
What else do we got here? Oh, elegant plastic cutlery in baby blue.
I'll take it. I'll burn that.
Oh, and of course, pink Hostess snowball.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is.
So, guess what? My wife went over to Walmart yesterday. Every one of those things was $1. So, take a look and say, how do you measure 15.9 fluid? Oh, country this is from. Ounces, O-Z-E. I mean, OZ is the abbreviation. 16.9 fluid. So, how do you compare these? How do you compare this? How do you compare this? And the answer is the next characteristic of money. Money measures value. Money measures value. By that I mean, you take money and the price that's been assigned to something takes into consideration how difficult was it to produce? What are the material costs? How was the transportation to get it over here? Those are amazing things. You know, you guys probably pass by, and one of the most amazing things in the world. You know, people go, oh, capitalism is so horrible. Okay, guys, they grow bananas in South America. Somehow or other, they come by boat and truck and wind up in your local pick and slave for like 49 cents a pound. That's amazing. That's incredible. but all of the cost of what they do to get them made, grown, picked, packed, shipped, delivered, put on the shelf is all bound into that 49 cents a pound. So it's kind of an amazing thing, and that's true of all of these, each of these. Their dollar price comes from all that. So it measures value. And what else have we got here? All right. So you have, let's see here, you got Riley Ryder, Riley Ryder, decides to go babysitting. Yeah, yes, sir. Can I imagine what? Okay, all right. I haven't seen that commercial, but that's true. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it. Okay, so Riley goes off and Riley babysits. Okay, she's got that cute little baby Hartwig Marinia. She's a lovely little thing. Oh, he's got fat cheeks all four of them, yeah. So Hartwig Marinia, she babysits him. He's a brand new little baby. And she babysits him for 5 hours. Okay, she babysits him for 5 hours. Saturday, 5 hours more on Sunday. The parents are very grateful. Honestly, don't just say numbers because you want to be heard. Does anybody babysit? They know how much a babysitter gets around here?
Oh, I'm taking a babysitter. $10 an hour.
Wait. What? How much? Okay, for how long? I mean, how many hours is that?
Probably like 7 hours a day,
Okay, all right. Okay, that's easy enough. Let's make it $10 an hour.
Okay.
So you did, would you do 5 hours each 2 days? So you got 10 hours, $10 an hour to get $100. Now Riley does not want to spend her work. What do you spend her work? That's one of the things money does. What she has to sell. Remember, you sell products or services. What she has to sell is the service of babysitting, her taking care of the baby, and she's paid what that's worth. So she's paid the $100, but she doesn't want to spend it right now. It's not like she has to trade. Okay, I'll babysit, and then at the end, I'm going to take that picture with me because I like that one. That's worth about $100. No, what in fact is going to happen is she's going to say, I want to stick this in my bank account, or I want to stick this in my sock drawer or whatever. And later on, I'm going to use that money. When I've babysat some more and my $100 has grown into $1,000, and then I'll be able to pay for my insurance when I turn 16 and I can drive like a maniac up and down the streets of Brookfield, even some of the sidewalks. Yes.
But now it's like Venmo and stuff.
Now it's what?
Like Venmo.
But remember, we're talking. I just want to talk about plain money here, so we don't get any confusion.
My mom uses
That-
Venmo.
that-
And my
that-
dad uses Apple Pay. And my sister uses Apple Pay.
I use Apple Pay.
Okay, here's a complete generational thing, which I think is so funny. You guys remember Mrs. Jimenez Garcia?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we were in the teacher's lounge one day, and there was a wonderful story about how some lady got up to the front of the line at Target, and how, she lost her wallet or something. She couldn't pay for the toys for Christmas for the kids, She needed $100, and so some guy in the back passes up a $20 bill, and some other guy adds to it. Somebody else adds a 10, and here's a 5, and by the time it gets up there, there's enough money to pay. They just pass up cash. And we're all going, oh, that's a cool story. And Mrs. Jimenez Garcia, who's a lot closer to your age, says, you know what I can't believe? I can't believe that there were that many people carrying cash. But it's the truth. Your world is Venmo or PayPal, stuff like that. All right, hang on just a second. Wait, stop, freeze. No, don't make up. It stores value. It stores value.
I remember.
And the last thing is, it's divisible. It stores value and it's divisible. D-I-V-I-S-I-B-L-E. Chloe, you turn that off, please.